It's finally game week. Let's do some predictions. This is Locked On Nuggets. Welcome to Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast, part of the Locked On Network, your team every day. I'm Matt Moore, senior NBA writer for the Action Network and Nuggets insider for 104.3 The Fan in Denver. I'm joined by Adam Mares, my compadre, my partner in crime, world's finest, previewing the Denver Nuggets season. Want to let you know that we appreciate you making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and we're available on all platforms. Glad to have you with us as we kick off the 2021-22 Nuggets season this week. The first game's on Wednesday. The first home game's on Friday. Adam Mares, are you ready?
I am ready. It's at long last. This preseason has lingered. It's just been lingering. I'm ready for it to move on.
It was weird. It went from like, because the last one was so short, it was like, oh, thank God we get a break. And then it was like, oh, this one's going to be short too. And then like, I don't know, end of free agency, I was like, no, I'm good to go now. Like I'm ready to go. So I'm excited to get started. We're gonna do over-unders today. We're gonna do player projections and team predictions for the 2021-22 season. Where do we think the Nuggets are gonna finish? Various things, but we're gonna start on the player side. And where better to start than with the reigning MVP, Nikola Jokic. Box Plus-Minus is a score stat that's on, you can find it on Basketball Reference, an indisputable site if you like to study basketball. And on there are only 26 players in NBA history that have logged a BPM higher than 10. Nikola Jokic is one of those 10 players. So the question is, what will his BPM be for this season? Now, if we look at BPM, just in case you're worried or concerned about the nerd isms with it, it's a box score estimate of the points per 100 possessions a player contributed above a league average player translated to an average team. It's a kind of a version of VORP, a little bit different in some ways, but it's a pretty good indicator because if you look at these guys that qualified for the points per game leaderboard and have a BPM higher than 10, the best player on that list is LeBron James in 2009. The next two players are Michael Jordan, then David Robinson, then Michael Jordan again, and then number 6 is Stephen Curry in 2016 when he hit 402 threes. Pretty good list, Adam.
Right. Very good list. Box Plus-Minus, to me, there's a lot of these advanced stats, and it seems like some of them, if not most of them, have these weird outliers where a player we all know is good doesn't qualify on them, or a player we know is not great somehow rates really high. I think Box Plus-Minus is the one that most consistently has players that has the fewest surprises, I would say, who most frequently has guys that are ranked high that I'm like, yeah, that sounds right.
So last season, Nikola Jokic finished with an 11.7, good for 9th best of all time. That's tied with what I consider to be LeBron James' second best season ever, by the way, 2012-13 in Miami. So he had one season where he was 9.7 and then 11.7 last year. So I'm going to set the over-under, Adam, at 10.5. This sounds like a very random, arbitrary kind of metric. Do you think he logs another 10-plus BPM this season?
I don't. And for the reason you just said, was it 26 players have done, or 26 times, not even 26 players, just 26 times it has happened. You know, this is going to be a tough year for Yoke, and I'm a little concerned. I think he's going to be great. I think his peaks are going to be as high, if not higher, than last year. But last year, when you think about how he had that historic BPM, he had, by my count, 2 bad games. He had 70 good games, 2 bad ones. I don't know that type of consistency, that takes a special focus. It takes a special mind frame, and I just don't know that he's going to have that. I think that he probably has 10 bad games this year, which is not that many, but it's probably enough to lower that Box Plus-Minus just a hair. So I'm going to go under. Not by much, but I'm going to go under.
The only players to have more than one 10-plus BPM in a season. Michael Jordan did it 7 times.
Yikes. Wow.
LeBron James did it 5. Chris Paul and Giannis Antetokounmpo have both done it twice.
That's it. That's the list.
That's the list. Dwayne Wade 2009, Russell Westbrook in the 2017 season. You got Magic Johnson in 1990, James Harden in 2019 in a season that Rockets fans are very sensitive about. So it's like the greatest of the great. However, I will tell you, I'm going to go over. I think he's going to log another 11 this year because
That's
I
just
just
a
think
10
that
out of an 11.
I think this type of stat specifically is very well suited to the impact that he provides. Like these are the elite of the elite, but this has always been like the best thing about Jokic is that he makes his teammates better. And so he's going to contribute in all sorts of ways. Like he just makes the game easier for everyone else. And so I expect those figures to still be very high. I think his win shares take a drop probably. I think his VORP, which I think was one of the best of all time last season, will probably take a drop. But I think his BPM, I think he winds up. This is not a slight at Giannis at all. It is a elevation of Jokic where I believe that if Giannis can get it twice, I think Jokic can get it twice.
Wow.
So I will take Jokic on the over for BPM.
But just generally speaking, what we're really asking with this one, I mean, part of it is us assessing the stat and how it relates to Jokic, but you're also just predicting Jokic to have basically a run it back MVP season. Maybe not win the award, but to have another season that mirrors the one he just had.
Let's go to Michael Porter Jr.
No, I'm asking
And
you. That was a question, man. I was asking you. I'm trying to clarify. Are you saying you expect Jokic to have a season comparable to the one he just had?
it's a good question. Yes.
Okay. Okay. I love that you. This is how weird is this, Matt? This is the first time in 7 seasons you are going into it more optimistic about Jokic than I am. What a moment.
I get suckered in by greatness. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I get
Yeah.
suckered in by greatness, and I tend to trust in it maybe more than I should. Let's go to Michael Porter Jr. and let's do a very basic stat for him, which is good old points per game.
Oh, there it is. Let's do it.
So last season, MPJ averaged 19 points a game. I'm saying the line at 24 and a half. And the reason I'm saying this line, we actually discovered over at Action Network, this is the line for most improved. It's that players jump from roughly around 19 to 24 and a half to around 25 points a game. Will Michael Porter Jr. be a 25 points per game scorer this season, Adam?
No, under. Look how pessimistic I am on everything. I think he's probably 22 or 23 point per game scorer. So I'm kind of a decent amount under that. I think he'll have his moments, but I also think he'll have his moments. We saw in the preseason, he had stretches where you're like, oh, this guy's going to average 30. And then he had stretches where you're like, has he added anything? And I just think it's going to be like that. Consistency is difficult. I think he still has a lot to learn about the game. 23 points sounds about right to me.
I'm also going to go under. I'm pretty nervous about MPJ going into the season. He's the player that I'm most nervous about going into the season.
Is it at all because of the preseason? Does it factor any of it into it at all? Yeah, same with me.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, I'm not looking for preseason for shooting percentages or wins and losses. It's how do you look right? Like, do you look like things are clicking? Do you look locked in? And instead, I see, as it has been with him, 2 steps forward, 1.5 steps back. 2 steps forward, 1.5 steps back. The steps are incredible, but the steps back are also pretty deep. He's got a big step back, you might say. So I will go ahead and take the under on 24.5, which means that Michael Porter Jr. likely will not be winning Most Improved Player this season. Aaron Gordon, 20-point games, over under 11.5 is the number that I'm going to put him at.
Over. I'm going to go over. I think I'll say even a decent amount over. 20 points, it's weird because he doesn't score that much, but 20 points is such a low bar. I'm going to go over. I think there's games where he just stumbles into 15 points just off of putbacks and fast breaks. And I think there's enough of those that he gets up to 12 times he gets over 20. So I'm going to go over.
He had 5 total last season, which was not the number I gave you initially.
Right.
Because I actually gave you 1920s numbers. He had 14 with the Magic in 1920, but last season it was just 5. Does that change your mind at all?
No. I mean, Gordon, it might take a while. I don't know that it's going to be right out of the package that he looks great, but I do think he's a guy that's going to just get a lot of easy points. So I'll go over. It's not 12 games is not that many games to get 20 points.
Okay. I'm assuming you're taking every single 3-point prop I can throw at him, though, right? If I
No
offer
way.
you,
No, I'm not buying any of that. I'm just buying
no,
that
that's
there's
what I'm saying. Like you'd be taking the under on all this. Yeah,
Oh, right. Yeah.
yeah,
I'm just buying that he's gonna have like a couple games where he has 8 points in the first 3 minutes on fast break, just off of garbage, and it's like,
yeah,
okay, you're halfway there.
yep. Will Barton 25-point games? We researched this before we came on.
Yeah,
I'm setting the line at 2.5.
man. I'm going way over on this one.
Woo!
I'm buying Will Bart. I mean, it's funny because he doesn't score that in volume like that very often, but 2.5 is so few. There's no Jamal. Michael Porter, I'm not convinced is going to be an every night type of superstar. I think he'll be a superstar from time to time, but I don't think he's an every night one. And the nights he's not, Will Barton is going to have his opportunities to get up 15, 20 shots. So I think, yes, I'm going over.
By the way, I will take the under on Aaron Gordon 20-point games. I think he'll have a lot of 19s. Like,
I mean, that's actually a pretty good bet.
yeah, I feel like it's gonna be one of those where game score 20 points a game. That sounds like a
Right.
narrative for him. For Will, I'll take the over too. I'm with you. I just think that there's gonna be nights when I especially think that when MPJ does get it figured out and starts to cook and teams are really game planning to stop him, that Barton's going to fill in a lot of that scoring gap considerably. And he's just going to beat up a lot on especially some of the weaker teams. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, we're both in on a big thrill bounce back year over here at Locked On Nuggets.
Even think about this. How many games will there be without either Jokic or MPJ? I'm guessing like at minimum 5, at maximum maybe 15. In those games, Barton bumps up to this number 2 option. I mean, then he really elevates, and there's just a good chance he gets 25 on those nights.
Monte Morris starts over under. I first said this in like the 30s, and you were like, "That's ridiculous," because Jamal's only gonna be back for like 15 games. So I'm bumping it to 50.5.
Man, that is a good one. I'll still go over. What you're really asking, it sounds, I mean, because there's the injury part, which I mean, I'm not even factoring that into my questioning or my answer here. There's just do you have to make a shift at some point? And I think no. I don't think that's a shift you make, but I'm not 100% sold on it, so I'm gonna take the over.
I'm taking the under hard.
Really?
I'm taking the under hard. I think
Injury?
PJ Dozier and Bones Highland combined wind up starting more games this season than Monte Morris.
Oh man.
So here is my thing. I think eventually there will come a reckoning where they're just like, we need Monte to handle the bench because nobody else can.
Yeah.
That's my problem. I think that the bench is so bad they need somebody to organize it, and they do not have a guard that can do that. Bones is too young. Facu cannot. And
Rivers is a
Dozier,
point
I don't think
guard.
is a good fit for that. I think they're going to want the defense in the starting unit. I think as long as Dozier's 3-point shot holds up, he's going to wind up starting like by Christmas.
Man, Dozier in the starting unit has some of the concerns for me that Facu does. Just in that, is he going to score off of pick and rolls and like turn the corner and knock down the free throw line jumper? I don't know. And does that put a snag in everything you do as the tip of the spear offense? And so I don't know. Maybe, but defensively, he certainly. I mean,
I think
how
it's
I
a
feel.
concern. I will say that I have a lot more confidence in Dozier, especially with his ability to attack the rim, than I do in Campazzo. Like,
I do
also,
too. To be clear, I do too. It's just
yeah,
it's similar concern, different levels.
yeah, yeah. They won't be as good offensively as they would be with Monte, probably. But a lot of it is also like, how many points per possession is that? Is that like a 118 versus a
Yeah.
116? Right?
How
Like,
how good defensively is that lineup? Because I think it's really good. If you have Gordon
yeah,
and PJ Dozier and
yeah,
then Barton, who's just really long, I
yeah.
think it's a pretty good defensive lineup actually.
That's their best defensive lineup with MPJ.
With MPJ on the court, yeah.
We have to make that caveat. Bones Highland, true shooting percentage 61%.
Man, I'll have to pull up the Nuggets from last year to kind of get a reference for it. This is effective field goal?
True shooting.
Oh, true shooting.
So
Okay,
to
let me
put
go.
this
I
in
got it here.
perspective from last season, I will go ahead.
Only 3 players shot 61% true shooting, so I'll go under. It was Jokic, Porter, and then Zeke Naji, who doesn't really count. Jamal
Yep.
Murray was 59, so I'll go under, hard under.
That's his Raptor projection, by the way, based off of 538's data. That's his
Man,
Raptor projection. I'll go over. I think he's going to be a top-notch shooter right away. Like he's just got natural touch. So,
he does have pretty natural touch. If
and
he's
then
over,
finally, my last one for you that I add on did not tell you is Michael Malone ejections. No hook on this one. It's a flat 2.
man,
I'll go first. It's going over. It may go over by Christmas. He's already in an extremely stressed out place.
he
I
he
think
is. I would agree with you. I think Michael Malone, he's always runs hot. I feel like he's hotter than usual this year.
the cumulative stress of the bubble, the following season, the Jamal injury, uh, the pandemic, the playoffs, the COVID testing. I think he is probably in the worst spot of anybody, including Nikola, in terms of mental burnout. Now, he would like say you want to say that to my face if like he
Right,
feels
right.
this. He's like, you don't know me, and that's fine. I'm not basing it off of like talking to him or any sort of inside information. I'm just saying he's already, and part of it is just this team. Like I asked Chris Dempsey on Friday's show the same thing I asked you, which is like, did they lose that Oklahoma City game on purpose? Like this team does a lot to raise his blood pressure. Like I genuinely worry about Michael Malone, but I do think that he'll wind up getting. Especially, I'll say this: he's not going to let him go through. Even if you want to get away from the stress part of it, he's not going to let him get through another season where Jokic gets officiated the way that he did last year again.
Yeah, that would be my response to all of this. Is I feel like Jokic or Malone's ejections are almost all, if not all, planned.
Calculated.
Meaning, yeah, calculated. So I think he's going to have a really stressful year this year. I think Michael Malone might have the most stressful year of his coaching career in Denver because so much rests on Michael Porter, and that has obviously been a thorn in his side. But I don't know that it's going to manifest itself in ejections. Other than, to your point, if Jokic isn't getting foul calls again this year after winning the MVP, I could see him trying anything to get him to make a fuss.
Let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll do some team-wide projections and expectations for next season. But first, I want to tell you about Prize Picks. NBA fanatics, have you heard about Prize Picks? It's a daily fantasy made easy. I'm a big fan of this platform. I've used it. It's great. They've got the best NBA DFS prop game on the market. They offer more NBA props than any other DFS prop operator and offer all the superstar players and all the bench guys so you can find those secret values. They offer any prop you can think of, from yardage to touchdowns, even interceptions thrown when he talks about football. All of your users that deposit and use your promo code, and that's our promo code Locked On. All right, promo code NBA. I'm sorry, promo code NBA will receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100. You just pick 2 to 5 players and an over under on their projections, and you can win up to 10 times on any entry. And it's just you versus the number. So it's really cool. So you'll have like Jokic's total for points and rebounds, and it's going to be like, let's see, it'll probably be 20, around 39 ish, right? Over under on that for that Suns game. And you choose that, you combine that with another one, and you're talking about really multiplying up that money. Prize Picks allows mixed sport entries. So you can take the over on LeBron, combined with the under on Mahomes. Use the award-winning app on both the App Store and Google Play. Your entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. That's how easy it is. It's safe, and they offer fast withdrawals, which is always key when you're using these type of sites. Don't hesitate. Check out prizepicks.com and use promo code NBA, or go to your app store and download the app today. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. We're also brought to you today by DirecTV Stream. Does this sound familiar? You got one device that lets you catch the game live. You're streaming the Nuggets game from somewhere on another device. You're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you got your neighbor's best friends log in for all the good stuff. I want to tell you about a simple way to get all that entertainment that you love without the hassle, and a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream. It brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. No more juggling remotes. No need to buy another device. The best part? No annual contract. Get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets, thanks for making us part of your day. Season predictions time. Adam Maras and Matt Moore. Adam, first I need to tell you, very important, I'm sorry, this is a very important thing, about our NBA season preview on the Locked On Network. Thanks for making the Locked On Nuggets your first listen every day. We're free and available on all platforms, but for your second listen, get everything you need from contender to pretender around the NBA with the ultimate insider NBA season preview, the biggest and most comprehensive season preview you can find wherever you get your podcast. Adam, I'm going to start you off right here. Let's just go ahead and get right to the bone, the meat of the bone on this thing. 47.5 is Nuggets win total. Over under.
I felt such a confident over before the preseason, and in particular over the last week of the preseason. Something felt a little off, and then even practice over the weekend. Malone pretty fired up, Michael Porter a little bit down. It felt like this team still has to go through. Maybe this is an every year thing, Matt. Maybe like watching the Warriors of 2015 through 19 has like poison my brain to how this all works. Maybe every team has to go through the mire and come through it. But the Nuggets, to me, I'm a little bit lower than I was before. I'll still say over, but I'm feeling more like a 48 wins, like a half game over.
It's still 47.5. This is an easy over, my friend. Like, I get it, and I've been with you on the no, like this is preseason, but there's something here.
Right.
The NBA season is 6 months long.
It's so long. Yeah.
Like, we won't remember preseason the first time that they hit their stride.
It's not about me worrying about the preseason. It's about, is this team ready, or do they still have like lessons to learn before they're ready? And I just feel like that's the part of it where I'm like, maybe this is just a year where they have to go through a couple months of muck. But you're also right. 47.5 is not that many wins.
It's really not. One note, how many seasons do you think Michael Malone's teams have gone under?
I don't think his teams. I don't know what the Sacramento
with the Nuggets.
I didn't think they had. I thought
they haven't.
Yeah,
6 straight years of going over. He would have gone over. He didn't. They voided out the 2020 season. Had the suspension of play not happened, I feel confident he would have hit the over that season.
Right. They went like 2-6 in the bubble to be under, but yeah. Whatever.
I did win total breakdowns. This is one of my best bets. I'm obviously pretty high in the Nuggets, which we'll get to in a second, exactly high. But one of the reasons I think that this is such a good bet is they went 26-8 versus teams below 500 last season. That would surprise, I think, a lot of folks around Denver, because the losses that they have, the bad losses, stick out like a sore thumb, and everyone gets really cranky about them. They went 26-8 versus those teams. That's terrific. If you're sub 10, you're in a good spot. Now, that was in 72 games. Maybe they tack on 2 more. But even then, last season was a pretty parity-filled year because of all the COVID stuff and the schedule. If I expect them to, even though I think this is the thing. I think they're going to be worse than they have been the last 3 seasons versus the top teams. They've been a surprisingly good team versus the top teams, in part because their clutch net ratings have been terrific. Like, Harrison's written about this. They've been one of the most clutch teams. I think that takes a dip. But I think they're still going to be able to. They're just going to. Cleveland, they're going to run them over. Detroit, they're going to run them over. Houston, they're going to run them over. Like, Orlando, Oklahoma City. The Kings, I would assume, but you never know with them. But in general, and like, look, I think the Wolves are going to be good this year. So I don't know who like the bad team in the West is going to be. But I do think the Nuggets will more often than not take care of teams that are in their own tier, in their same tier, and they'll take care of teams that are worse than them. And those two things will boost them up. They will wind up with 50-plus wins. I feel very confident this is a 52-win team.
Okay. 52 wins. That is a hard over. Their potential's there. I just haven't liked the vibes this last little bit. We get through the first week of the season, and maybe it's all different, but I'm a little concerned with the personality of the team right now.
I think one of the things that's different is that you and I are used to covering this team where if the vibes are bad on this team, they haven't been good. And I think the difference with this year is that they're so good, the vibes can be bad, and they will still win at a 60% clip.
Might be true. I mean, it is a good roster. There are some really good players.
And I'll tell you,
it'll get sorted. I mean, you're right.
And here's the other thing. They have a front-loaded schedule. Their front half of their schedule is easier than their back end. They're going to get easy games And I think there'll be an adjustment when Jamal gets back. It'll be rough.
Yeah.
But the emotional boost, though, the first time that he takes that floor, preferably for a home game, like it's going to be like the team's going to be jacked, and they're going to get. I think as they get closer to the playoffs, their mood will improve. I think the more I thought about it, I do think a lot of this is built upon how many times they've done this and having to be like, oh God, we got to do like the December games against whoever again. Like, seriously,
Right.
because teams get there, they just get bored. And I think
Yeah.
that's part of it. Is Malone's like, we can't be bored. We need to we have to power through this. We don't have Jamal as a backstop, but we'll see how it goes. Will the Nuggets be in the play-in, Adam? Now you're a little skeptical on it, and they could still be hit the over and hit the play-in tournament. That's definitely like within range.
I don't think it is. I
Okay.
think if you get 48 wins, you're out of the play-in. So I'm going to say no. I think it's a better chance than you will, but I probably still see them as a 4 or 5 seed.
Okay. Would you trust them in a play-in environment? Would you feel good about them in a one-game spot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, they've been in that situation so many times, do or die.
Sure.
I would be really surprised if they were the 9 or 10 seed, which is where you would need to win 2 games in a row to get it. That would be pretty surprising. So if you are a 7 or 8 seed, need to win 1 out of 2 to get in, I think they could do that.
Will the Nuggets make the Western Conference Finals this season?
No. That's the one I feel more confident about this one, only because, again, you're betting anybody that makes the bet yes on this is betting that Jamal Murray integrates himself into it fully healthy or somewhere close to it in such short order. And I just think that's so hard to do. It's possible. The team's ceiling is certainly that good. I think 100% Denver Nuggets, they probably are as likely as any team out west to do it. I just don't think that Murray's integration is going to go that smoothly. And I'm not sure he's going to be the player we all want him to be this season.
In 2020, I picked them versus the Jazz, and it went way longer. And I doubled down, and I took them versus the Clippers, and I was the only one to do so. Last year, I was the only one to take them versus the Suns, and they got swept. So 2-1.
Every other year, you're right.
I've already made this clear, and I'll tell you this: like, I made the bet. I make bets based off of value. If I think that there's value on a bet, at 22-1, I thought the Nuggets number was preposterous. It's gone down. I maintain. I said this on You Better You Bet, which is a betting program. They asked me for a finals prediction. I said Nuggets over Bucks in 6. That's my official prediction for the NBA season. They are making the Western Conference Finals. The Lakers are going to lose before they get there. The Nuggets are going to beat whoever they face in the Western Conference Finals, and they are going to beat the Bucks in 6 games in the NBA Finals. That is my official prediction.
Scorcher. I love it, man. I hope you're right. You get to take the biggest victory lap. They're right. Drinks are on me at the DNVR bar the entire night.
I'm taking the big swing there. Let's take a break. We'll come back, and we're going to talk a little bit about what this is going to be the year of. We like to define things in very esoteric and narrative kind of centric terms. We do this quite often. So we're going to use our experience. We're going to talk about what this is going to be the year of when we come back on Locked On Nuggets. But first, it's always the year of Built Bar, Adam. It's every single year. It's the year of Built Bar. There's something for everyone with their delicious flavors. They've got so many. They've got coconut, cherry barcia, raspberry, mint brownie, double chocolate, my favorite, which is salted caramel, strawberry, orange, cookies and cream, German chocolate, whichever one you want. You get a mixed box. You get 2 of each of the 9 flavors. Not only are they the best tasting, but they're healthy too. You get 17 to 18 grams of protein, only 4 to 5 grams of sugar, and only 4 to 5 grams of net carbs. Go to Built.com and use promo code LOCKEDON, and you'll get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKEDON for 15% off at Built.com. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for making Locked On Nuggets your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Josh Lloyd hosts the number 1 daily fantasy basketball show on the planet. It's free and available on all platforms. Adam, I have to tell you, I'm very mad because we don't have today our BetOnline ad. I'm very mad because I want to talk about the Broncos. I don't know, finally, my time has come. As an underbetter, today was beautiful. I mean, it was of all, and the Fangio. Oh, it was a chef's kiss. Beautiful day to be an underbetter for the Denver Broncos.
Did it? I assume it hit. I don't even know. Was it? Because there
No,
was
no,
a
no.
lot of
We're way away. I got it's their over under is 9. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm talking about the season win total.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Oh man,
it's
was it? As long as it wasn't 3.5, I feel like you're sitting pretty solid.
well, it's 8.5 is the win total.
Oh
So I do
god.
have a lot of work to get there because of their ridiculously trash schedule to start.
Yeah.
But feeling much better. Everyone's excitement over Teddy Bridgewater. Oh no, there's a reason that he's always available. All right. So
You can
anyway,
do
let's
that.
get back
You
to
can
this.
do it.
Let's talk about what this is going to be the season of, because I feel like you would have had a completely different answer if I'd asked you this at the beginning of preseason relative to now.
Yeah. No, I mean, to me, this is such an easy one. First, though, can we go backwards just to
Yes.
kind of clarify what this is? 2 years ago, unquestionably, the year of Jamal. I mean, the bubble year was the year of Jamal Murray. That was the year he got a max contract and then proved he was worth it. There's no question. The last year was the year of Jokic. He was the MVP of the NBA, first time in Nuggets franchise history. I think this year is probably the year of Michael Porter. I do say that with not full confidence, but he's just going to have so many opportunities for him to really break out and ascend. And I don't know who else. The only other candidate I could see, I guess there's two. Bones is maybe a fringe one. Well, maybe you'll go with it, but it could be the year of Jokic again. I mean, that's the only other guy I could really see it being, but it's got to be Michael Porter.
I think this is going to be a nondescript year.
That doesn't sound
So
great.
I know it's gross, but here's the thing. This team doesn't judge itself. Like, this team's seasons aren't made of the regular season anymore. As much as you and I appreciate teams that actually try in the regular season, it makes for a much better watching experience.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot, because here's the thing. Again, they've learned how to manage the schedule better. Like, the numbers reflect that they've learned how to manage, how to basically, when I say manage the schedule, everyone thinks it's about rest, and that's not it. It's about, oh, we're facing a team that we should absolutely destroy. Let's kill them. Tomorrow we're facing the Clippers, the Lakers, the whoever, the Heat. We'll see how that one goes, right? Like, this was the whole thing with the Clippers in that game in 2020 before the bubble, right? Where the Clippers annihilated them. And everyone was like, "Oh, that just proves the Nuggets are frauds." And like, I talked to Paul Millsap and was like, "Were you expecting them to play like it was that?" He's like, "No." He's like, "Some nights you go in and you don't. You're thinking it's going to be a normal regular season game, and that team is looking at it like an opportunity to send a message, and you have no idea until it's too late. And sometimes you're the one that does that, because it's all about like managing it. You're managing your effort. It's how much you want to burn. Like, you have fuel reserves that you have to manage throughout the season, and it replenishes. You don't have like a finite number of fuel to start the
Right.
season. It I'll say this too, it replenishes unexpectedly. You can have just a good day off, and then they come back and they're like, we got away from basketball for a day and it was really good. Whatever. Like, these, again, stressing this 6-month season. I feel like they're going to be in that conversation and coasting completely under the radar, which is exactly where I want them.
Yeah, it
Like,
is weird.
I don't want the Nuggets competing for the Jazz for the 1 seed. I don't want the Nuggets like scrapping to get by in the 6th spot, because then you're under that pressure of, if we slide a little bit, we're going to be in real danger.
3-4 seed, perfect.
Yep. Hang out in that 4th seed, coast on through. Like, just get to April. And one of the reasons why I'm higher on their prospects this season than you is that I have more faith in Jamal Murray's return from injury. This is not hyperbole. I have more faith in Jamal Murray's return from injury than any player that I have written about in my 13-year NBA writing career. I have more confidence in his return to form.
Well, before you said confidence, you said faith, and to me, that's all it is faith. And it's not that it's not founded; it's just that we don't know. So I hope you're right. he's mentally strong, and I think it's more mental at that point than it is physical. I mean, it's physical up until about 7 months into your rehab, and then it becomes a mental thing, and he's very mentally strong, but I just don't know.
To me, this preseason with MPJ shows that I don't know. Like, it may be the year of MPJ, but if it is, it's going to be another year of like when things came to a head. Like,
What do you mean?
you can't keep doing the 2 steps forward, 1.5 back.
Yeah. I
And
mean, yeah.
we thought last year. I mean, seriously, we said last year Michael Porter Jr. is going to be the most important player on this roster. That's something that we said on this show, and like y'all said it on DMVR, like everyone did. And then it was a mess, and then it was amazing, and then it was okay, and then there was the playoffs, and like not all. Many careers are kind of linear. Like, to say that none of them are is not accurate. But you need some sort of linear stretch, and there hasn't been with him.
There has been, in my opinion. It's just it hasn't been. It's been 2 months. I mean, the final 2 months of the regular season last year was a linear, like, oh my god, this guy's really starting. It's starting to click, and then he got to the playoffs and it disappeared. So, like,
but my thing is, you're right. I think you're absolutely right. And I was in the same place as you, where I was like, he should come into camp and look like another level of player. He faced that level in the playoffs. He worked out with Steph Curry. Like, this should be like we should be hearing from people in camp that are like, you guys are not prepared for how good MPJ looks.
Right. We didn't hear that a lot. You're right. You're right about that part of it.
And instead, like in the preseason, it's been like a complete mixed bag, where he has that first game where he like, okay, huge plus minus, scored easily, just did his thing, made shots, and then had the same. This is the thing. And so, look, he can prove me wrong. Starting with game 1. Like, game 1 is actually a great opportunity, because I expect them to lose this game.
Yep. And it's against the team you know, in the playoffs, he did not have a very good playoff series against. And he talked about being injured and this or that. Well, not injured. Opportunity to go out there, and I mean, going to be underdogs. I don't know if the line's out already, but I'm guessing Denver is 4 or 5 point underdog in that game.
Very good. Very good. 4.5.
Yeah. So there you go. So, this is a great opportunity for him to go and kind of show that he's a different guy. But, we'll see. We'll see. Is there any other candidates? I mean, so Bones and Jokic are the two. Bones has the lower bar in terms of just like if he becomes a piece of it, it's like the year Bones arrived. Jokic, just in that if he does have a repeat of the MVP caliber season, even if he doesn't win it, if you're just like, wow, this guy, this is just who he is 2 years in a row now. The only other guy to me that makes even remote sense would be PJ Dozier. And if he had his contract situation was different in Denver, I'd feel differently about this. But he's the only guy I could see being like, is PJ Dozier become a core piece where you start to think of him as like, yeah, he just fits so perfectly. Is there anybody else? Aaron Gordon, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, look, Aaron could shock us, right? Like, if Aaron becomes the player that he thinks he is, if his three-pointer drops and he starts to make some actual like layups, like he could become. There's no reason he can't put up 22 a night. There's not. He has like the athleticism and the minutes and the usage, right? He just got to convert.
It would literally surprise everyone though if this was the year of Aaron Gordon,
Yes.
because I don't think there's anybody predicting that.
It's true. I did want to put an interesting Jokic kind of thing in your head. 2007, he wins MVP. Dirk Nowitzki does. Dirk Nowitzki wins the MVP in 2007, averaging 24.6, 8.9 boards, 3.4 assists, 42% from 3, 50% from the field.
How many points? How many points was that?
24.6.
How hilarious is that Dirk's MVP year, every stat was lower than Jokic's last year. Every single one.
Yeah.
Wow.
In 2008, the year after, he averaged 23.6. Shot 48% from the field compared to 50% the season before. 36% from 3 versus 42% from 3. Rebounds and assists were largely the same.
Yeah.
So, like, if I'm wrong on the BPM thing and Jokic takes a step back at all, that's where like my prediction starts to look real dicey. And I'm going to try my best not to overreact and stick with like, I'm not going to give up on my idea of what the Nuggets are until All-Star. If they're so bad that I'm just like, Jamal can come back great and it doesn't matter.
What's funny about Yoke and all of this is when we talk about some of these other guys, you're like, did they add this piece of their game? Did they add that? Did they learn this lesson? To me, I'm just like, is Yoke going to be too tired? And it's
Yeah.
funny, like this is honestly how I feel about Jokic. He's such a good player. The game comes so easy to him that I actually think he is capable of flipping a switch and putting up MVP 26, 11, and 9 or whatever it was he averaged last year and doing that. My question is more just like, does he have the mental capacity, the spiritual capacity for it again? I mean, maybe he does. Maybe I'm underselling him in that regard. I'm not underselling his talent though.
Well, I mean, the other thing here is, we'll see if he's going to be MVP level again, because there's actually people in stands, and I'm not saying that the stands bother him. I'm just saying, like, it made perfect sense last year that he had an MVP season in Denver and no one got to see it. Like, you and I were in the very small percentile of the planet that actually got to watch Nikola Jokic every night being the MVP. So.
Yeah.
Okay, that's our Monday show. Tuesday, Adam is going to have a preview about the season across the NBA. On Wednesday, we'll preview the game.
Mm-hmm.
On Wednesday night, we'll talk about the results of that game. And then later this week, I'll have you covered on the Friday postgame show after the Nuggets' first home opener.
Yeah.
We are back into it, folks. Nuggets season is here. It's game time. Let's go. So, for Adam Maras, I'm Matt Moore. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this episode, do us a favor. Open up your phone.
Please. Yep.
And go to YouTube and search for Locked On Nuggets and subscribe to us there. We are doing the show on YouTube now, so you can see my facial expressions. I'm going to try and wear a hat as much as possible. You can see Adam, who has not put together his house at all because he's a slacker that just doesn't do anything. Like, he's moved into his house like 10 days ago.
I got a whiteboard, Matt.
Congrats on having a whiteboard up.
We got a little chair here.
There's a chair. There's a beige chair. Good job. Check that out. Subscribe. I'm going to be on Pickaxe and Roll podcast with Ryan Blackburn if you guys want to check that out. Also later this week, I will have an episode with TJ McBride, who, guess what?
Back
in action. And he's doing betting stuff. So I spent like an hour giving PJ like a crash course in betting. That's going to be an enjoyable experience this season. I'll have an episode with TJ later this week. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Hope you have a great start to the season. We'll talk to you guys again tomorrow on Locked On Nuggets.